Okay, so this video is going to be some general tips on how to find a good prompt engineer, specifically for working with the Stammer AI platform. Although really, if you're looking for a prompt engineer for something else and watching this video, that's fine as well. I mean, these tips are going to still apply. So now, for most of you that work with Stammer, especially if you have simple use cases, our ready-made, ready-to-go prompt examples inside the marketplace are going to be fine for most of you. However, some of you have had or do have more complex use cases, and you've expressed interest in kind of offloading, those more complex prompt creation use cases to someone else, an expert, right? A prompt engineer is kind of what it seems to be, what they seem to be calling that job now. And before we jump into this, one thing I do want to say is, if you have any doubt, prompt engineering is a very valuable skill to invest in for yourself and your business. So writing clear instructions, or actually modeling business processes into clear written instructions, is very, very valuable for a business, especially if you're an agency. It can help you write SOPs for your employees. It can, of course, just help you in everyday giving instructions to your employees. I mean, that's essentially what you're doing, right? Giving written instructions on how to do certain things. It can also help you with your customers, defining requirements. If you're an agency that's building a website for your customer or running an ads campaign, you need to really, have your requirements. You need to understand what that customer wants of you, and you need to be able to clearly write to them what you're going to do for them so that they understand. Now, finally, prompt engineering is a valuable skill to invest in because honestly, it's the new way to talk to computers. And that's not going to change anytime soon. The world is changing very rapidly with these LLMs, and this is going to be the new way to give instructions to computers. Now, code is not going to go anywhere, but for very complex things, what is probably going to happen is people will start using prompts to replace extremely complex code that would take thousands of lines of code to do today, or might not be possible at all to do without these LLMs. And I foresee that what they're going to do is, initially in fact, we already do this with Stammer. There's some key places where we actually leverage ChatGPT. And then once we feel like it's worth it to invest in, writing actual code to do it, we might consider doing that. Anyway, so investing in learning prompt engineering is going to be a very, very valuable skill to invest in. All of us, so us on the Stammer team, as well as you all who we feel like are on the Stammer team because we work so closely with you, all of us are literally, on the edge of a new technology, and we're all figuring this out as we go. And it's going to be just as valuable as it was to the people who were doing the web in the early 2000s and the apps in the 2010s. Now, where to go to find a good prompt engineer? Well, Upwork is a fantastic place to find great talent across the globe. We use Upwork all the time. That is actually initially how we found kind of our key senior dev was through Upwork. He was actually working with me on another older product of mine that I sometimes refer to. And you can find some of the most amazing people in the world on Upwork. So we highly, highly recommend it to be used for this kind of thing. The first thing you want to do is, of course, register for the Upwork platform. We've been using it for so long now that I don't know anything about the registration. I'm sure you register as a business. I think they actually call it a client. Anyway, you're going to register, go through that process. I don't know what it is. I can't help you with that, but just do it. I'm sure it's easy enough to set up these days. And then you want to create a job posting is kind of what it's called. So let me show you. You can search through freelancers like I'm doing here, but you can also, or what you actually do in order to get them to the job, to apply for the job, is to create a job posting. And now one thing I really want you to do before you create that job, the tendency is to just, create a vague job posting and then to post it and kind of see what you get. But what you really want to do, and this is one case where you want to do this work up front, you want to really write out what you want this person to do. Okay. You want to understand your use case. This is the time to do that. You don't need to include all the details in the job posting if you don't want to, if it's something proprietary or it would reveal your customer or whatever. Obviously, don't include those details in there, but you want to have a great understanding of what you want this person to do before you post that job. So then post the job, right? What's going to happen is within seconds, usually, definitely minutes, many people will start applying to the job. What I usually do is kind of give it, 12 hours or, do it. For some reason, it seems like I'm always posting these jobs before bed and then waking up to, a lot of applicants. But, take a look at the applicants that have applied, and you're going to want to start evaluating them. Now, interestingly, the most important skill of any type of engineer or developer is actually communication skills. Now, this surprises a lot of people that have never hired developers, that haven't worked with them closely, but let me tell you why that absolutely is, and why anyone that tells you different has no idea what they're talking about. So the most important thing actually for a developer to do is not writing the code, right? That's what they're going to go and do for you. That is important, but they need to understand your requirements. And then further, once they've used their communication skills to understand those requirements, then they need to go and implement. Then they need to communicate with you for iterative changes based on your feedback. So if it doesn't start with great communication skills, you're going to have a problem. So how do you evaluate those communication skills? Well, your initial messages are actually, the intent of those messages is to evaluate their communication skills. So I advise creating a list of questions to ask them that will appear to be assessing their background. Are you, what languages have you worked with? What's your development background? What projects have you done? And then get into asking questions, like what have you done any projects that are public with ChatGPT? Have you created any GPTs in the GPT store? But what you're really trying to do with these initial messages is evaluate their communication skills. You need to have both good written and good spoken communication skills. And actually, now that I think about it, I did not really put this in there, but you never want to hire someone just based on text conversations with them. What you want to do next, after you've narrowed your candidate pool down to a few candidates, what you want to do is you then want to schedule, a Zoom call or some type of video call with them. And that's where you will really further evaluate their communication skills, as well as get an idea of kind of their attitude in general, right? You want to find someone that, and this is a personal philosophy, but you want to find someone that is good and easy to work with, does not get obsessed with being right. That being said, sometimes that's harder to find, especially in developer type candidates. But yeah, you want to find someone that you can overall kind of have no problem working with. So definitely do the Zoom call after you've narrowed your candidate pool down. Now, this is very important. Right after the communication skills, the next most important thing for a prompt engineer is they need to have a development background, okay? There's no way around this. And I'll tell you why, actually, because this may be controversial in some ways. You may have some people that are like, well, why do I need a technical background? Why do I need to have a background writing code? I've been working with ChatGPT for a while now. Well, the fact is that prompt engineers are not really needed to write prompts that just execute in ChatGPT, right? That's easy. Anyone can do that. Where they're really needed is as building interfaces between code that's interacting with ChatGPT, okay? And then ChatGPT actually talking back to that code and telling it when to do certain actions. That's where they are needed. And if they don't have that development background, they're not going to have any idea about that concept, and they're not going to know how to do that. Further, prompt engineering is writing code, believe it or not. If you've used ChatGPT to any extent to get it to do things, you've written code. Now, the key thing is that code happens to be in the English language, right? But it's still code. You're still telling a computer to do things, and because of that, you have to be able to write clear and concise written instructions. Just like I was saying earlier, you have to be able to, model complex, often business processes into clear written instructions. And that is exactly what a developer does. So that's why you need to find someone with that technical background. Now, finally, you want to try to find someone that has verified experience working with ChatGPT. And that's going to be harder to do in some cases. But, look for people that have created GPTs. That's a huge advantage if they have a public GPT in the store. Look for people that have kind of some experience working with ChatGPT. Now, eventually for Stammer, we may actually have a kind of list of verified prompt engineers. That's kind of the vision that we have. They're going to be like Stammer-certified, but we haven't gotten to that point yet. So stay tuned kind of for that in the future, and let us all know if you all would be interested in that kind of thing. We could even have, in the marketplace, a listing for some of these prompt engineers. And then finally, the final thing I want to mention is that prompt engineering, at least for Stammer, should not take a ton of time. This isn't a multi-week project in most cases. Now, that being said, it really depends on the complexity of your prompt. And a prompt that's going to take weeks to develop probably wouldn't work well right now with ChatGPT anyway. So most of the time, this prompt engineering should not take a ton of time for a skilled prompt engineer. That being said, this is a new field, so there could always be edge cases there. But anyway, that is my thoughts on how to find a good prompt engineer. So let me know if you have any additional questions on this. Feel free to reach out to me in the Discord. I'm happy to throw another video together on this. And that should be it. Have a great day.